to Mumbai. Yes, it's me, and no, it's not cricket.
Speaking to James Wharton this morning, he actually told me the secret to this place is starting from P3 on the grid to charge down in the slipstream to head up to turn 1 and turn 2. Can anybody take advantage of that and get one over on the American who starts from the front of the grid? Or is Yuga Chukwu going to take his third win of the 2023 campaign after his double delight in Dubai? Here in Kuwait Motortown, though, it's a very different story. It's a brand new race circuit, it's dusty, it's gloriously wide and fast, and plenty of overtaking opportunities. Have the F4 drivers got it in them to keep it clean on the first lap? We had a red flag in yesterday's first race after an incident that took out Alexander Abkasava and Georgi Janavsky, and also put out Lena Bula in a varying degree of accidents on the first lap. Now we've got a chance to do it all again, and the competitors are gearing themselves up ready for 23 minutes plus the additional lap, and it's going to be quite an exciting grid. Yuga Chukwu and Tuka Tarpanen on the front row of the grid. James Wharton and Valerio Rinicella, you can see them on your screen. They're on the second row from Teofil Nal and Zachary David, right up in P6 on the grid, the Maltese. So yesterday's race was a thriller. Let's look back at how it unfolded. So yesterday's first race in the afternoon was very inspiring stuff. From pole position, Valerio Rinicella had a lot of pressure on him as James Wharton and Yuga Chukwu set off after him from a green light. Out through the flat-out turn 1 and down to the braking zone for the hairpin at turn 2. There was always going to be a little bit of action on the first lap, and we certainly got it. In the first braking zone, everybody pretty much kept it out of harm's way, except for 2 spins in the field. But the big hit was still to come, and sadly further down the hill, Abkasava and Janavsky collided. The race was stopped and then restarted, with Rinicella putting James Wharton under immediate pressure. The top 4 broke clear, as not only were the leading 2 up the front, but so too Yuga Chukwu and Teofil Nal. There were great battles as Noah Lyle cut his way through on the inside of Valentin Klus to start a monumental scrap that went to the flag. There was also good battling from the F1 juniors, Arvid Lindblad of Red Bull and Tuka Tarpanen for the Mumbai Falcons and the Ferrari Driver Academy. Some great battles all the way down the field, but try as he might, Yuga Chukwu could not quite get one over on Valerio Rinicella. James Wharton held on to the line to pick up his first win of 2023. As far as he's concerned, the championship fight begins now. So some big performers in yesterday's opening race. James Wharton picking up his first win of 2023. But it's going to be Yuga Chukwu on pole. He's down on the grid with Feline.
Hey Ugo, after yesterday's first race, how confident are you for today to have a strong race?
Yeah, I think it should be a pretty good race. We managed to get P3 yesterday, so yeah, we need a good start. It's a long run down into T2. So if we can keep the lead, I'm quite confident we can try to pull away.
Good, have a good race. Yeah. 那刚才我是问到 Ugo 他呢，在昨天的比赛之后呢，今天有多大的信心呢？可以拿到可以有一个好的成绩。他也提到呢，昨天他是拿到了第3，对自己的表现还是非常满意的。今天呢，也希望能有一个好的表现。So also Jake, I can see like all the cars here on the background are in the shadow, and it's pretty cold on the grid. So maybe it's also affect the tire temperature. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Feline. Very good insight indeed there, and that's a very prominent point. Yesterday we were in the sunshine on the start of the day, but because we're in the shade now, it's not going to be easy to get the tyres up to temperature off the line, so that warm-up lap is going to be crucial in order to get the drivers ready in position. And yes, indeed, with the track temperature very cold on the main straight, because it's currently overshadowed over the top of the grandstand, it's keeping the circuit quite cool. So this could be an interesting start for several drivers. And Yuga Chukwu there being very relevant indeed to the main talking point heading down to turn 2. If you can keep the lead, then we're confident of going into the lead and disappearing. That's the key issue, keeping the lead on the run to turn 2, because obviously the drivers behind you are going to be able to take advantage of the slipstream. This man, Tuka Tarpanen, is still waiting for his first 2023 F4 UAE win. He has come very close on more than one occasion, and the superstar Finn, who is turning everybody's head, is very much in potential to do that today in one of the prevailing two races. Or anything could still happen here, and it's definitely going to be very intriguing to see how it plays out. Hello to everybody who is watching, whether you're watching via the Facebook F4 UAE Championship channel, the YouTube stream, or if you're on the Kuwait Motortown stream as well. It is great to have your company. There's James Wharton, the man who won yesterday for the Mumbai Falcons. He looks so relieved after yesterday, and he had such a good attitude coming to the circuit this morning. He came into the garage, I was there chatting away with a couple of the engineers. He walked up to every single member of the team, not just in his garage, but in the sister garage for Prema Racing and also for the Mumbai Falcons and Prema teams in Formula Regional. Shook hands with everybody. It's a real team feeling and a real team dynamic that James Wharton has within himself. He knows that they win together and lose together, and he really wants everybody to work together as a strong unit. He knows that everyone has been on side collectively to get him back to the front. It's a very, very humble and very, very camaraderie style of nature that James Wharton has in this team. It's wonderful to see how he has continued to believe in himself and to dig deep and find something to push him forward. It's a great, commendable attitude. Check that out, ladies and gentlemen. 38 cars all the way down the field in the Formula 4 UAE Championship. It's a very busy grid indeed. One of the biggest and one of the busiest in the sport's history. So the contenders are gearing themselves up ready for the start. Yuga Chukwu lining up in pole position, with Tuka Tarpanen alongside him, James Wharton directly behind the American in third, and Rinicella in fourth place. From Niall, David, Lindblad, Valentin Klus, Hamda Al-Kubaisi right up in ninth place, and Noah Stromsted in 10th position. All based on lap times yesterday, don't forget. So there's going to be a handful of drivers right down at the back who didn't complete the first lap, such as Georgi Jaravsky, Alexander Abkasava, and Lena Bula, along with Dion Gauda. 4 drivers who didn't complete the laps. And Alexander Bolduev was unfortunately given a penalty yesterday, so he drops down the order a little bit further than he was already. So the mechanics are given the command. 1 minute to go. They are now going to clear their positions and leave the drivers to it on the starting grid here at Kuwait Motortown. The second ever single-seater race to take place on this circuit. Last month, of course, we had racing in the 12-hour sports car race, but now it's time for the second encounter in the F4 UAE Championship. We had 2 races yesterday, one for F4, one for Formula Regional. Now we're here for the third ever single-seater race from Kuwait Motortown, the second ever F4 encounter. So it's time to see how these young men and women who are still taking their first steps in international competition will get their chance to shine here at Kuwait Motortown. This is going to be a crucial formation lap. As Feline Wang pointed out on the start-finish line, you can see for yourself that the start-finish straight is under the shade. So it's going to be a cold starting grid. And that means that this formation lap is more important than ever before. Let's talk you through the starting grid as 38 drivers weave their way from side to side to generate heat into the brakes and tyres ahead of this second race of the weekend at Kuwait Motortown. It's pole position for the American star Yuga Chukwu, who leads the championship alongside Tuka Tarpanen, the Finnish boy wonder for Mumbai Falcons Racing. Third on the grid is James Wharton, winner yesterday, alongside pole position yesterday, Valeria Rinicella. Teofil Nal and Zachary David, 2 drivers to keep an eye on from the third row of the starting grid. Arvid Lindblad for High Tech and Valentin Klus for PHM on the 4th row, and rounding out the top 10, Hamda Al-Kubaisi alongside Noah Stromsted. 11th on the grid is Kiano Al-Azari, the home star for the UAE, and Kanato Lee in P12. Then James Physique of Australia alongside XL Motorsports' Federico Rifai. Then we have Noah Lyle, the British driver for XL, alongside Akshay Bora for PHM. Then it is Mohammed Ibrahim for the Mumbai Falcons and Will McIntyre for High Tech Grand Prix. Jessica Shkado for RHGP is alongside Rafael Narak, his teammate. And then in 21st is Nicola Lacorte for Prema, and Jacob Bergmeister is beside him for PHM. Flavio Olivieri for Cram is alongside Theo Jensen for Santaloc, Then on row 13, it's Bianca Bustamante for Prema, alongside Hia Yamakoshi for Pinnacle. Next up is Victoria Blochina of the R2 Race Cavicel team, and Sebastian Murray for Cram Motorsport. Then Jack Beaton alongside Luciano Morano on the 15th row of the grid. Then we have Matteo Quintarelli for the Yazid Racing Academy beside Emily de Reus of MP Motorsport. Kai Dardignani for Pinnacle alongside Dion Gouda in the new Rodin Carlin team. Lena Bueller for R2 Race Cavicel is beside Alexander Bolduev for Excel Motorsport. And then we have the two men who clashed on lap 1, Alexander Abkasava and Georgi Janavsky for R-Race and Excel. 38 cars and drivers around this Kuwait Motortown circuit. A great place to go racing, this phenomenal new race circuit. It's only been up and running since 2019. The pandemic got in the way of its international program, but now finally in 2023 it can emerge as a new venue for Middle East motorsport. And judging by the passion and enthusiasm from the locals here so far, it's definitely going to be a popular future venue for worldwide motorsport. And you can have absolutely everything here. You can have bikes, you can have GT sports cars, you can have prototypes, you can have single-seaters, you can have rallycross, drag racing, drifting, karting, everything you like, including Formula One. So Kuwait Motortown really is prepared for everything. But today, it's going to be the stars of the future. The F4 United Arab Emirates Championship drivers making their way to the starting grid for the second time this weekend. They will have a third race later today, and then guess what, folks? We get to do it all again on Tuesday and Wednesday. One race on Tuesday, two on Wednesday, before they head back to the United Arab Emirates for the fourth round in 3 weeks' time on the Dubai Autodrome. So the competitors are ready for an exciting showcase here as the cars line up in position on the starting grid. Yuga Wigachukwu and Tuka Tarpanen from the front row of the grid, with race 1 winner James Wharton in the same place he started yesterday. If it ain't broke, don't fix it as far as James Wharton is concerned. Just do what you did yesterday and all should be fine. The F4 United Arab Emirates Championship, race 2 from Kuwait Motortown in the second round of the 2023 campaign is ready to get underway. 23 minutes plus the additional lap. Yuga Wigachukwu, championship leader, starting from pole. Tuka Tarpanen second. Race 1 winner James Wharton third alongside Valeria Rinnicella. Let's race again at Kuwait. Brilliant start from Yuga Wigachukwu, not bad at all from James Wharton. He's going to tuck in behind Tarpanen. There's contact further back. Problems on the starting grid itself. Looks as though 3 or 4 cars have come together and there's damage, so it looks like we're going to get safety car on the first lap already. The rest of the field is still piling their way down to turn 2. It looks like one of the Hi-Techs and one of the PHMs have come together on the main straight. So big problems as now already we've got James Wharton and Tuka Tarpanen trying to take on Wigachukwu. Wigachukwu held the lead this time. James Wharton has not been able to get through. So as they run into the second sector, it's already perfect for Yuga Wigachukwu, who has held on in the lead of the race. Arvid Lindblad tucks in behind Santalok's Teofil Nal in 6th position, as they are both behind Valeria Rinnicella. The rest of the field have tucked their way through, but it looks as though there was a car that didn't get away on the starting grid, and someone has not been able to avoid it, and they have piled in on the main straight. There are only 2 cars still left, but I can tell you that the Hi-Tech driver in question has got out of their car, which is very good news indeed. So obviously the drivers are still racing for position on the far side of the circuit, but when they get to the main straight, there's going to be a need for the safety car. There is double waved yellows on the main straight so far. We're having a look at it on the replay. Yep, there's one car that just didn't move, and everybody else has got to take avoiding action. Safety car, safety car. So the safety car has been called. No major surprises there at all, so the race is neutralised. The safety car has actually picked them up on the back straight. So before they even complete the lap. So what's going to need to happen here, I guess, is that the safety car is actually going to take the drivers through the pit lane, because the incident has actually happened on the main straight. So well done to the safety teams for getting on the scene quickly. There is the safety car having picked them up. But I've got a suspicion that we're going to be going through the pit lane here rather than on the race circuit. either that or they're just going to be able to keep off to one side. So yes, all cars behind safety car through pit lane. That is the command. All cars through pit lane behind safety car. Now the two drivers involved are Jacob Bergmeister and Kanato Lee. So they are the ones that are in trouble on the main straight, I'm afraid. And it looks like there's actually a third car that has pulled off as well. And that is the pinnacle of Hyo Yamakoshi. So Hyo Yamakoshi is also out of the race, but the two cars on the main straight are Kanato Lee and Jacob Bergmeister, and I can tell you that both drivers are out of their cars. So again, that is very good news indeed. So Jacob Bergmeister has already had a bit of a tricky start to the season in F4 UAE, and I'm afraid it hasn't got any better here at Kuwait Motor Town. So safety car. The drivers will peel their way through the pit lane and then rejoin the circuit, because obviously there is debris to clear up on the main straight. They don't really want to be in the position of picking up a puncture. There is Kanato Lee's car. He stalled it on the grid, unfortunately, and as a result of that, Kanato Lee was just a sitting target, and unfortunately Jacob Bergmeister couldn't get out of the way in time, so he collected into the back of Kanato Lee. The trouble is, you are desperately trying to work your way through the pack. You're trying to make up overtaking positions. You've got so many things going on the start. It can be very easy to miss a car when you've got to think very quickly. So unfortunately, Kanato Lee and Jacob Bergmeister out of this race already. And as a result of that, the safety car is bringing them through the pit lane. So Ugachukwu leads, Tarpanen second, Wharton third, and Rinicella fourth. So it's as they started, essentially. Ugachukwu mastered the start very well and managed to keep everybody behind him. Then it's Teofil Nile in front of Arvid Lindblad. Zachary David is P7 from Valentin Rus and Noah Stromsted. Then Keanu Al-Azari ahead of Abder Al-Kubaisi. The two Yazhi Racing Academy drivers. Then Noah Lyle ahead of James Bazik. Federico Rifai ahead of Will McIntyre. Then Jesse Kadashkedo, Mohammed Ibrahim, Akshay Bora and Rafael Narak. Then in 20th is Nicola Lacorte from Jack Britton and Bianca Bustamante in 22nd. Then Luciano Morano and Matteo Quintarelli. Lena Bula and Kai Darniani. Sava and Vittoria Blocchina. Then Dion Lauder, Emilia de Hurs, Alexander Bolduev, Sebastian Murray, Georgi Janavsky, Flavio Olivieri, and into the pit stop has actually come Teo Jensen. But we have three retirements: Kanato Lee, Bergmeister, Hyo Yamakoshi in the number 66 Pinnacle. But I didn't see where Yamakoshi has stopped. I wonder if he just picked damage from the fray and has ended up having to pull off just a little bit further up the road. I certainly haven't seen the Pinnacle. I've only seen two. Here you go, the mechanics, Mumbai Falcons and Prema, who are next door to each other and working in collaboration, of course. Red flag, so it's clear the clean-up job is going to take a little bit longer than first thought. So obviously they do this quite quickly now. They put the safety car out to get the field queued up in order. Then they assess if it's going to take a little bit longer than first thought of. Be cleared away and the race will be stopped. For the second time this weekend, the race but a very tricky situation then as they now have to bring the cars to the pits, and they will in position. Cars are making their way into the pits then, following
but it's the same energy. It's not between the runs, but the laps. It's not between two teams, but many to come. It's not just between the players, but also their machines.
Renato Lee and Jacob Bergmeister has also put Koshi out of the race, but the race has been flagged. So it's been a very tricky situation for all of the contenders. Here is the situation on the red flag. Yuga Chukwu from Tupac, then Valer from Emilus, in Murray, and George Javsky. Pit lane ready for the marshals to clear the circuit to make sure that it is ready for racing again. They've had to put some dust on the circuit in order to make sure that the fluids that have been deposited from the car are actually not going to cause a bit of an issue there. So it's definitely going to be an interesting situation for all of the contenders now, but we're only going to be able to start the race again with 35 cars because we've lost 3 of them off the start line. If you're just joining us, then we are under red flag conditions in the second race of the F4 UAE Championship after a start line incident where Kanato Lee for High Tech stalled on the grid, and unfortunately Jacob Bergmeister could not get out of the way in time. So Bergmeister struck Kanato Lee's car and both drivers are out on the spot, and thanks to damage, it looks as though Hyu Yamakoshi is also out of the race. So we have stopped the race. We have brought the race into the pit lane under safety car initially, and then the race has been red flagged. This is quite commonplace in races of this nature. There is Kanato Lee. That is good news. So Kanato Lee is there chatting with his mechanics. He's okay, and that could have been very nasty indeed for the Japanese driver. So thank goodness Kanato Lee, everybody jokingly refers to him as Bruce, but he is perfectly all right, and that is very good news indeed for Kanato Lee. So now the drivers have to reset everything with their teams. There's Jack Beaton, the Australian for Pinnacle, getting himself ready for the start, the restart I should say. So the 3 cars that are out of the race are the man who stalled initially, Kanato Lee, and the 2 men who struck him, Jacob Bergmeister and Hyu Yamakoshi. So all 3 drivers are out, and then we will go racing once again. At the red flag, though, the order is as follows, and we do have time to go through all 35 cars that are in this race, so hopefully the car that you are cheering for will come up shortly. Yuga Chukwu is in the lead under the red flag conditions. Tuka Tarpanen and James Wharton, the Mumbai Falcons boys, are 2nd and 3rd. Valerio Renicella for MP is in 4th. Then in 5th is Teofil Nal for Santaloc. 6th is Arvid Lindblad for the High Tech Grand Prix team. Then Zachary David, P7. P8 is Valentin Klus. P9 is Noah Stromsted. And rounding out the top 10 is Keanu Alazadi. You can see that the marshals have gone to work to try and clear up the fluids deposited on the main straight there. Hamda Al-Kubaisi 11th, and then Noah Lyle in 12th from James Pizik and Federico Rifai. Will McIntyre in 15th from Jessica Shkado. Mohammed Ibrahim and Akshay Bora are 17th and 18th. Then Rafael Narak is 19th in front of Nicola Lacorte. Jack Beaton is in front of Bianca Bustamante, 21st and 22nd. 23rd is Luciano Morano. 24th is Matteo Quintarelli. There is Bianca Bustamante, who's having a much stronger weekend than she did in Dubai. I was talking to her briefly this morning. She said this is a very different car indeed to the W Series car. You've got to put a lot more into the setup of these cars to really get the hang of it. But she really is starting to make good waves now. She was in the top 20 of qualifying yesterday, and she is proving that she has what it takes to mix it in the raft of the field. And let's not forget that she never really did international competition on the world stage in karting as the same level as most of these F4 drivers have done in the past. She was the queen of racing in Asia in the karting categories, but never really got the opportunity to go onto the world stage until she got into cars. So most of these drivers she's never raced with before, and she is holding her own very well indeed. And a lot of people are talking about her as the next potential female starlet who could go on to the realms of top-level motorsport competition. We're all asking the question, when is the next lady going to be racing in Formula One? Well, she's definitely a candidate for that, along with probably the likes of Juju Noda of Japan, Abby Pulling of Great Britain, and probably Luna Flusha of Spain as well. There's going to be quite a few names to emerge over the next couple of seasons, and certainly Bianca is one of those. Hamda Al-Kubaisi is not a bad shout either, the Emirate driver who is in 11th place currently under red flag conditions, and she's been top 10 pace. She won last year, of course, in F4 UAE at Abu Dhabi with a dominant drive at Yas Marina. There is Matteo Quintarelli, her teammate in the Yas Heat Racing Academy car. Matteo Quintarelli is currently down in 24th position, ahead of the Swiss driver Lena Bühler. Then Kai Darignani is 26th in front of Alexander Abkasava and Victoria Blokina. Rounding out the top 30 is Dion Gouda in the Rodin Carlin in front of Emilie de Heus in the MP Motorsport. Then it is Alexander Bolduev in 31st. Sebastian Murray is 32nd. Georgi Janevski is in 33rd in front of Flavio Olivieri. And at the back of the field, it is going to be Theo Jensen. Just 3 retirements from the red flag incident: Kanato Lee, Jacob Bergmeister, and Hiyu Yamakoshi. Not entirely sure what happened to Yamakoshi, but we think he picked up damage in the incident. So it is going to be an interesting situation. There is Lena Bühler for the R2 Race Cavicel team, one of the newest squads in F4 competition. And just behind her we have the 88 machine. That is the car belonging to Kai Darignani, the Indian driver. So already a very interesting start, and I'm afraid 3 cars have already gone from the field. Race will resume at 10:05 local time for 17 minutes plus 1 lap. That is the news headlines. And there's Alexander Abkasava, who was involved in the red flag incident yesterday. But fortunately, he is still going this time. And there is the other R2 Race Cavicel car of Victoria Blokina, the very talented racer who is still making good strides in the world of international competition. And there behind is the new look Rodin Carlin, getting itself ready for another exciting battle in 2023. The sole Rodin Carlin car out here in the Middle East for this campaign. And there is the number 60 MP Motorsport car driven by Emilie de Heus, the Dutch lady, trying to work her way forward up the grid as well. And there is the 54 car of Alexander Bolduev for XL Motorsport, currently running in 32nd position. 31st position, I should say, sorry. Then Sebastian Murray in the Cram competition, the Bonnie lad from Scotland, who of course is based out in Dubai nowadays. But Sebastian Murray doing a fantastic job for the Cram Motorsport competition team. It's a big step up for him. He never did international karting on the world stage, so this is a big learning curve for him. There's his teammate, Flavio Olivieri. And then the number 33 is next up in the mix there. That is Georgi Janevski. And I noticed that Theo Jensen is not actually behind him. So I wonder if Theo Jensen is not going to restart. So Theo Jensen in the Santalok car may not actually be rejoining the fray. That could be based on the fact that he also picked up damage in that first start incident. But as you can see, the timer now says 17 minutes, because that's how long we'll have left of the racing when we restart. 17 minutes plus 1 lap. So the contenders are gearing up and getting ready for an exciting duel out on the circuit once we restart. And it's definitely going to be a big charge through to turn 2, because what we've already heard from James Wharton is that the best position to start from on the grid in a circuit like this is actually P3, because you get good slipstream from the car in front on the run down to turn 2, and that's where a lot of the drivers are obviously going to be pushing for it. Well, an interesting question has come in from Faisal Ashkanani. What do you think of the track here at Kuwait Motor Town? Well, considering it's brand new, we would have used it earlier had it not been for a worldwide pandemic getting in the way. But it's great to suddenly be racing here now, and we've got some great performers coming to compete on it. But the facility is absolutely terrific. It's certainly in terms of the facilities and the resources that the drivers and teams have at their disposal, it's comparable to Yas Marina without any doubt at all. And I was in race control last night, having a look around, and I tell you what, Formula One would love it here. So would the World Endurance Championship. So would MotoGP. There's a great feeling of excitement around this circuit, and Kuwait is a country that really loves its speed. Now, interestingly, there is a message that says contact at turn 7 on lap 1 will be investigated after the race. Now, turn 7, it's quite a long way round the course. Not entirely sure what would have happened on that lap. I didn't see anything, but yeah, it could be interesting, that one. It looks like there could be a penalty being handed up to someone, unless, of course, they decide to take no further action. But certainly there was contact, apparently, on turn 7 on lap 1, and that'll be investigated after the race. So let's see how it all continues to battle. But certainly Kuwait Motor Town has really captured the imagination of the drivers and the teams here. I was talking to one of the Formula Regional drivers yesterday, Sebastian Montoya, who said that Sector 3 is actually the best sector I have ever driven in motorsport, which is quite a big statement, actually, considering that you've got all sorts of amazing race circuits around the world, which Sebastian will have had experience of across Italy and Germany. And yeah, that's a bold statement to say that Sector 3 on this new circuit is the best Sector 3 he's ever driven on. So that's quite a bold statement, actually. And the Kuwait fans are just waking up to the fact that their race circuit has international competition on it. Well, let's get some of your questions and comments in between these moments. Jeff Saragi Motorsport has asked your thoughts on the differences in car speed based on the different teams. Now, that's an interesting one, because a lot of people talk about this in F4. I'm not entirely sure if there's anything to it at all. It's got nothing to do with the difference in car speed. If you actually look at the telemetry data, the cars are still getting up to the same top speed in terms of high-end performance. It comes down to two things for me: setup and confidence. That's the big key in F4, because the mechanics can only do so much to get the most out of the car when the drivers are communicating that to their mechanics. It's about confidence in knowledge and setup. That's the key factor in F4. The cars are absolutely identical. You can see that in the telemetry readout data between each team. They're still reaching that same peak of top speed. It's not about the difference between the balances of cars. It's about the setup and the confidence that the drivers actually have in being able to communicate that with their team. And that's the big difference in F4. You've got to remember, these kids are getting out of karting for the first time, stepping into a single-seater, and they're still learning how to do it. So a lot of the time, these drivers have good talent, but it's about how you communicate that to your mechanics. The ones that are good at it are going to be the ones that can extract the most out of those cars. That's why you occasionally get 3 or 4 drivers from some of the smaller teams up at the front end, because they've already unlocked the key. They've already figured out how it is to communicate adequately with their mechanics to work around the deficiencies of car setup. It doesn't matter how great a racing driver you are in terms of natural setup. If you can't communicate that with your team, then you can't extract the best out of the car. That's the real key in F4. So the safety car has set off. The green flag has flown at the back of the pit straight. So we are back under racing conditions. The race has restarted under safety car. Now, we are told the contact is at turn 7, lap 1, and it will be investigated after the race, and it's between cars 66 and 73. So that is Hiyu Yamakoshi and Flavio Olivieri. So that might be why Hiyu Yamakoshi was out of the race on the first lap. It had nothing to do with the start line incident. It was a separate incident. So there we go. A very interesting situation there. And the contenders are really having an interesting time of it now as the cars leave the pit straight and back onto the circuit again. So they'll have one lap behind the safety car. Now, interestingly, the accident happened on the left side of the circuit, and the majority of that cement dust has actually now been swept up. But it doesn't change the fact that that outside line is going to be quite cold, because then there's not going to be a lot of tyre rubber that has run over it in this current situation. And that could actually affect the start of the Formula Regional race coming up. So that's worth keeping in the back of your mind for later on in the day. But certainly for the F4 UAE Championship, it's not going to be too big a difference because they're going to restart the race behind the safety car. So the safety car will peel off at the end of this lap, and then Ugo Ogachukwu will take up his stance on the racing line. What's going to be worth watching, though, is that run to turn 2, because they can go flat through turn 1, fifth gear, still accelerating. Then they will make their way down to turn 2. That's the big breaking point. That's where we're going to see an overtake or two, possibly on the first racing lap back after the safety car start. So this is going to be really intriguing, really interesting. We've got some amazing questions that have come up on the YouTube stream. I don't have time to deal with them all right now, but I do want to pick them up later in the weekend, so I'll try my best to keep an eye on them. Massive thank you to you guys for doing so. To the likes of Jeff Saragi, to Casimir Carruthers. You guys are asking amazing questions. Thank you so much for that. But we've got a race about to come up, so I don't want to distract from that. Safety car is just exiting turn 18. That means we are on the verge of restarting. Quite a few gaps in this line, actually. And Ugo Ogachukwu is not backing up the pack, I notice, under safety car. Now is safety car staying out another lap? I think it might be. Yes, safety car is staying out another lap. So they are not ready to go racing yet, it seems. Now that's why. Once we pick up the main start-finish straight, look, the safety car has actually peeled off to the far side and run the car over that cement dust section. They're trying to make it safer for the drivers. That's really smart thinking from the officials there. Let the safety car run over that patch so that it embeds the cement dust. Yes, it delays the start, but safety is paramount. You have to follow the protocols. You have to make sure it's safe. A couple of the other drivers are actually running off onto that section as well, because they know that when they go racing, they're going to need to get it as safe as possible. So it will be a rolling start. So we've got another lap. So I'm going to actually go back to the question that was asked a short while ago by Casimir Carruthers. Is it better for a driver to go up the ranks instead of just jumping up if they show a lot of promise? Or is there a downside to shoving Ugo and Kimi Antonelli into F3 right now? That is such a good question, because this is a really big talking point at the moment. It's about what a driver can cope with at a certain level of their development. You've got to remember that last year, Kimi Antonelli, yes, he was the dominant king of F4. He won in Germany, he won in Italy, and he won the gold medal in the motorsport games. But he also had an injury. He picked up a wrist injury over the course of last year. So how much do you put upon a driver too soon? We've seen this time and time again. Look at Theo Porcher, for example. Amazing talent. At 16, thrown into Formula 2. He's about to start his third campaign in Formula 2, has not yet got himself an F1 drive. How quickly do you put that much pressure on a young talent? How much do you give these people too soon? And what the Mercedes Junior program has essentially done with Andrea Kimi Antonelli has said, F3 is too much too soon. Put him in the Formula Regional car, which is a much heavier, much more physical car to drive. Give him that for a season, then we'll see what happens. You can't put too much on these talents too soon in their career. You have to give them enough driving program to meet their needs. Otherwise, if you push them too early, if you push them too hard, you're not going to get the best from them. So Andrea Kimi Antonelli is a prime example of that. He was the king of this sport last year, but the safety car is in this lap, and it's now time to see if Ugo Ogachukwu is going to go on to become the king of it this year. Tuka Tarbonin second, James Walton third, Valeria Rinicella fourth. Ogachukwu is backing them up. They've exited turn 18. Now he's gone for it. So Ogachukwu has actually made a perfect start here, and now the Mumbai Falcons are tripping over each other. Tarbonin and Wharton could actually impede themselves as they come up towards turn 2 on the first lap. They come off the final turn. Ogachukwu's lost a lot of that advantage out of the final turn, in fact. And here we go. Green, 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 green. We're racing again at Kuwait Motor Town. Up to the first corner. They fly through flat on the throttle, and Tarbonin and Wharton are in the slipstream of Ogachukwu. The Prema driver is not going to have it all his own way down to turn 2. He's going to have to work hard to keep this lead. So the field flies through, and look at it, 3 wide. Tarbonin's to the middle, Ogachukwu's to the inside, Wharton's to the outside. Wharton's going to try and find a way round. Tarbonin's going to try and hold it. Ogachukwu needs to leave him a little bit of space, which he has. And they're going to drop down the hill, and it's going to be absolutely as it was. 3 wide into turn 2. That's how you do it as Lindblad dives in on Niall. Big moves from from Arvid Lindblad, I should say. Lindblad dives in on Teofil Niall, and they've got one of the PHMs to the inside. That looks like Valentin Klus. Valentin Klus is driving around the outside of Niall. Beautiful from the German. They nearly lock wheels. Niall is still keeping it honest. Neither driver is backing down. Klus and Niall side by side now for 4 corners. They touch wheels ever so slightly. Klus runs off and drops in behind Teofil Niall. That was feisty. We love it. So Niall, Klus, and behind him is his teammate Noah Stromsted. But Ugachukwu has held them off for a lap. Lindblad goes very wide there in the 3rd sector. Here comes Teofil Niall, diving on the inside. The Frenchman pounces and gets past Arvid Lindblad. Great move from Teofil Niall, but he now drifts wide as they go into turn 19. So Lindblad may get a chance for a reprieve here on the run to the final corner. Klus is not far away either. Ugachukwu, Tarpanen, Wharton, Renigella. And in 5th place now, that is Zachary David. He's managed to scamper away and leave these guys to duel. Lindblad runs wide, touches the grass, touches the gravel, and here comes Valentin Klus. They're going to go side by side, and there's nothing Lindblad can do. Valentin Klus is going to sweep in into turn 1, and he'll get the place. So now Lindblad's got to pick up the slipstream before Noah Stromsted comes through, and here's Keanu Al-Azadi. He wants a piece of this as well. Meanwhile, Wharton is swarming around behind his teammate. Tarpanen's trying to protect 2nd place. Look back, look back. A very close battle heading towards us. And is that going to be Klus in front of Lindblad? Yes, it is. Stromsted's going to dive in on the inside of Lindblad now as well. Al-Azari's trying to cut in, but Stromsted's got through. Lindblad's going to try and keep it. Oh, they've rubbed wheels. Stromsted runs off the road. And Al-Azari's going to have a window of opportunity on the inside of Lindblad. Good move from Keanu Al-Azari. Can he hold it? No, he has to bail out of it. So feisty this early Saturday morning here in Kuwait. And Valentin Klus is scampering away and leaving them. Stromsted, Lindblad, Al-Azari, and then Hamamda Al-Kubaisi ahead of Lyle, Rifai and McIntyre. Great racing in F4 UAE. So Lindblad is now trying to chase down Noah Stromsted once again. Watch for Lyle and Rifai. They're having a good race battle behind them. McIntyre and Kashkaredo are getting in the mix too. 7 minutes 40 behind. This is learning on the job, and now we've got a big move from Klus trying to go round the outside of Niall. Surely not. They both slide wide. Niall just holds on to it in front of Klus, but Stromsted is catching them rapidly. But because he's had to bail off the throttle, you're going to get the 10th position battle reeling in them big time. Zachary David catching up with Renigella. So it's now a 5-car battle, and here comes Stromsted round the outside of Klus. He's been smart, he's been brave. Lindblad's pitting, Lindblad's bailing out, Lindblad's pitting. Something's wrong. Something's wrong for Lindblad. He's out of the race effectively. But look at Stromsted round the outside of turn 1 for Niall. He's gonna get there. Amazing from Stromsted. And look at Ugachukwu, he's now defending from Tarpanen. No, that's Wharton. That's Wharton in 2nd. Wharton has moved up to 2nd. Klus has managed to get through past Niall as well. Stromsted round the far side. And Al-Azari is now under pressure from his teammate Hamda Al-Kubaisi. Stromsted runs wide off the road, but still gets past Klus. Oh, and they've taken out the bollard on the inside of the chicane. This is properly fast and furious stuff now. The F4 drivers are giving it everything, no holds barred. Big lockups, big battles, terrific duels. So behind the top 5 we now have Stromsted, who is up to 6th position, in front of Valentin Klus. Teofil Niall down to 8th, then it is that Al-Azari first? Yes it is, Al-Azari is ahead of Al-Kubaisi. But Arvid Lindblad has come away from the race, he's had a problem. So this is really tricky stuff. Noah Lyle, now behind Federico Rifai by the look of it, so Rifai's got through. Whoa! Niall goes wide and airborne as he hops over the curbs. Keeps going, but that will have hurt. So Teofil Niall down to 8th place. Al-Azari and Al-Kubaisi are closing up on him now, the 2 Yas Heat Racing Academy cars. Still fighting in the top 10. I hope Teofil Nal is okay. That just gives you flashbacks of Abby Eaton last year when she broke her back. But Teofil Nal is still going, so all seems to be okay. Big dive on the inside from Ibrahim. Ibrahim in the final bend, making the move on the inside of Matteo Quintarelli. But he can't get through, and now Akshay Bora's got a run on Ibrahim. So Akshay Bora's going for it as they sweep through turn 1, flat on the throttle. They love turn 1. Up in front, Ugachukwu still hanging on. Wharton second, Tarpanen third, Rinicella fourth, David fifth, and now there's an absolute dogfight for 6th position. Those two are off the road. Niall and Al-Azhari are actually off the racetrack as they duel for position. The teammates of BHM are nearly colliding with each other. And there's nothing between Niall and Al-Azhari. Al-Azhari commits. Niall holds on, goes off the road to commit, to hold on to the position. This is wonderful stuff in F4. And there is a black and white flag for number 44, Teofil Nal, for driving standards. I'm not at all surprised. There was no room for Keanu Al-Azhari to stay on the racetrack. So Teofil Nal has been given a slap on the wrist there by the officials. Will McIntyre now getting his elbows out as he duels away with the XL Motorsport cars. He's managed to split Federico Rafai and Noah Lyle, with Jesse Carrasquedo in the R-Race car now trying to creep up behind them as well. And Akshay Bora has dealt with Mohammed Ibrahim. He's got through. Behind them, that is James Bazik, Rafael Narak and Jack Beaton. An amazing tussle all the way down to Jack Beaton in 19th. Beaton is now making his bid on the inside of Rafael Narak. Not at the back of the queue anymore. Good run from Jack Beaton there. Daniel Goetzer points out there's more action in 20 minutes than in the whole F1 season this year for sure. Well, don't count your tickets too early, but certainly very exciting stuff. Up the inside comes Rafai. He's going to have to try and fend off now from Will McIntyre. The British driver, Will McIntyre for Hi-Tech, trying to get on terms with him. Bit of a wobble from Rafai out of the final corner. McIntyre knows he's going to be vulnerable. Dives out, tucks in. He's going to go flat through turn 1, and surely McIntyre, no, he has to bail out of it. But he's got pressure of his own. Ugachukwu going ultra defensive now from Wharton. Wharton is putting him under big pressure. James is reeling in the American. These two could be the ultimate fighters of the season. Look at the way Ugachukwu tank slapped it, slid the car out. Now Wharton's got to run on the inside. This is for the lead, and James Wharton takes the lead from Hugo Ugachukwu. Lovely move from Wharton. And now Wharton's got to defend on the inside. There's nothing Ugachukwu could do to hold back the Aussie superstar. James Wharton hits the front. Lovely job. Intimidating Hugo Ugachukwu into the mistake down the hill, and James Wharton bags the lead. So now he's got to hang on for the last 2 minutes plus the additional bonus lap. Sensational stuff going on for James Wharton, and look, he's already trying to build a little bit of a momentum, trying to build an advantage, but he made a mistake, and this is going to be the chance for Ugachukwu to come back at him. He does! Ugachukwu retakes the lead. Oh, brilliant racing. Hugo Ugachukwu bounces back in Q8, and now James Wharton's going to try and take him on again. All that hard work is undone. The lead changes twice here at Q8 Motortown, and Tarpanen is watching it all unfold. He's got a chance to take them both on. So Wharton's going to need to get into the slipstream again. Rinicella and David are waiting in the wings. Valerio Rinicella in 4th and Zachary David from Malta in 5th. Through the first corner, flat on the throttle. Let's watch again. Now look, Wharton just got a little bit too much on the curve. Ugachukwu's ready for him. He looks left, he looks right, looks left again. Boom! Up the inside. Thank you. Good night, Vienna. And James Wharton gets through initially to the lead, but then Ugachukwu gets him back. And now we're in the final minute of race time. So this is the penultimate lap. They've got this lap and one more to go. This is turning into one of the best F4 scraps I've seen for years. James Wharton will not let Ugachukwu run away with it. And now this is Andrew Al-Khabaisi dueling with Will McIntyre. McIntyre round the outside at turn 2. Magic. Brilliant work from the Englishman. Will McIntyre McIntyre storms in and goes round the outside of Hamdi Al-Kubaisi. What a fantastic battle from Will McIntyre. Great job. That is hard to pull off. And the British driver, Will McIntyre, makes the move around the outside in turn 2 and takes on Hamdi Al-Kubaisi in style. So now Hamdi Al-Kubaisi has got to fend off from Federico Rifai. The two UAE drivers battling away now. But Will McIntyre has got himself a championship point by storming past Hamdi Al-Kubaisi. Time has run out. So now this is the penultimate lap. Chukwu seems to have got himself back into good race winning contention. He's built a little bit of a gap between himself and Wharton. Tarkenton's in third, Riddick-Chella's in fourth, and Zach David is in fifth. Here they come over the top of the grace down to the final turn. And onto the home straight once more. Big gap back to Noah Stromsted in sixth place. But here we go, last lap. Last lap begins. And Yuga Chukwu has got to hold on to this now. From Wharton, Tarkenton, Riddick-Chella and Zach David. There's Stromsted, Klus and Teofil Nile. Teofil Nile has been given a 10-second penalty for his tactics earlier on. Whoa! That's close, and they actually rub wheels. That's very tight indeed between Alexander Kasava and Jack Beaton. They actually rub wheels there. Very close indeed. They go through turn 1 flat on the throttle. But that's about as close as it gets to a big accident without actually having one. Great duels all the way down the field. And now Federico Rifai has managed to get past Hamdi Al-Kubaisi. So great racing all the way through. This is what happens when you can get a green race where you can just run it through. Kuwait Motor Town. I think the jury was still out after yesterday. Today, I don't think there's any doubt. This is a brilliant playground. Up the inside. Nice move there from the Prema. That is Bianca Bustamante dueling away in the middle of the gaggle with Sebastian Murray, and she gets through. So a nice run there from Bianca Bustamante. She makes a good overtake there on the final lap. But Noah Stromsted still hanging on in front of Valentin Klus. But now that Yuga Chukwu has taken back the lead, he has dug deep and he has found something special. So it is going to be a third win of the season for the American star from New York, Yuga Chukwu, out in front. The McLaren Junior in the Prema is very much on top of things now. He will come up to the final turn, and it's going to be his moment. In 2 consecutive weekends, he takes victory. He won in Dubai, now he's won in Kuwait. Yuga Chukwu wins ahead of James Wharton and Tuka Tarpanen. Game on for this championship. Uga Chukwu versus James Wharton is the hottest ticket in town. A brilliant rivalry brewing between these two. Great racing to the line again between these two. Is Beaton going to get there first? Oh my goodness! Beaton misses out on Alexander Kasava by 0.003 of a second at the line. Don't you just love F4 racing? Wonderful stuff. And Yuga Chukwu wins his third race out of 5 to extend his lead in the championship. But James Wharton is definitely throwing everything he can at the American. Yuga Chukwu versus James Wharton. That was the race of the season. A brilliant battle so far in this championship fight. But Yuga Chukwu, he lost out to James Wharton and he said, no, I am not buying this. I don't want to be part of this script. I'm going to throw it in the bin and take him back on. And he did, beautifully. Yuga Chukwu may be one of the most calm, quiet and silent of race drivers. He even makes Kimi Räikkönen look like William Shakespeare at times. But I tell you what, Yuga Chukwu is a demon behind the wheel. James Wharton's going to have to do his homework here to take him on over the course of the season. Thought he had him, just couldn't quite hang on. Solid from Tuka Tarpanen. He takes the rookie win, and that's his second rookie win of the season. Very unfortunate, though, for Arvid Lindblad, who ended up retiring from the race with some kind of problem. And what a drive through the field from Jack Beaton. He made up 9 places, as pointed out by Jeff Saragi. Very true. What a great job. So the point scorers are Ugachukwu, Wharton and Tarpanen, of course, in the top three. Minichella and David. Noah Stromstead, great try from him in P6. From Valentin Klus, Keanu El-Azari, Will McIntyre charging through, and Federico Rifai. Some new point scorers then in the races today, and very deserving too. But what a race it was here at race 2 in Q8. Bring on race 3, that's what I say. Hugo Ugachukwu battling with the Mumbai Falcons of James Wharton and Tuukka Tarpanen. This is getting interesting now. But it's 3 wins out of 5 for the very quiet, very calm American Hugo Ugachukwu. This is about as much emotion as Hugo Ugachukwu ever shows. You never really know what he's thinking. And that's what makes him such an enigma, such a mystery. McLaren are fascinated. They're in. And the American has now won 60% of the races this year. Can he sustain it into the final checkered flag at Yas Marina? Tough to tell. Wharton is giving him so much pressure now. It's the widest smile I've ever seen Hugo Ugachukwu smile. I think he knows now this is a proper championship fight. He's looking in control of it. A great run from Hugo Ugachukwu. He takes the win from James Wharton. Tuukka Tarpanen in 3rd place, gets the rookie win. Valerio Minichella 4th ahead of Zachary David. Then Noah Stromstead ahead of Valentin Klus. Keanu El-Azari is 8th. Will McIntyre is 9th. And Federico Rifai in 10th. They are the point scorers of a brilliant, brilliant race. 11th place for Hamda Al-Kubaisi, just missing out on the points from Akshibora, who charged through to P12. Noah Lyle in 13th from Mohammed Ibrahim. Teofil Nar drops to 15th after a penalty. Jesse Kadashkedo 16th from Rafael Narak and James Pizik. Then Alexander Abkasava and Jack Beaton, storming up to 20th. Then it is Matteo Quintarelli in front of Dion Gauda, Nicola Lacorte and Flavio Olivieri. The feisty Bianca Bustamante in front of Sebastian Murray, Victoria Blachina, Kai Darignani, Alexander Boduev and Emily de Reus. The final finishers were Georgi Jaravsky, Luciano Morano, Arvid Lindblad, who did finish, but down at the back. And there were problems for Lene Buehler and Theo Jensen. Down in the pit lane, Feline has found Hugo Ugachukwu.
Hey, Hugo, amazing performance.
Let's race again at Q8. Brilliant start from Hugo Ugachukwu, not bad at all from James Wharton. He's going to tuck in behind Tarpanen. There's contact further back. Problems on the starting grid itself. Looks as though 3 or 4 cars have come. So obviously the drivers are still racing for position on the far side of the circuit, but when they get to the main straight, there's going to be a need for the safety car. There is double waved yellows on the main straight so far. We're having a look at it on the replay. Yep, there's one car that just didn't move, and everybody else has got to take avoiding action. Safety car flies through, and look at it, it's 3 wide. Tarpanen's to the middle, Ugachukwu's to the inside, Wharton's to the outside. Wharton's got to try and find a way round. Tarpanen, and they're going to drop down the hill, and it's going to be absolutely as it was. 3 wide into turn 2. That's how you do it as Lindblad dives in on that. Ugachukwu has held them off for a lap. Lindblad goes very wide there in the 3rd sector. Here comes Teofil Nar diving on the inside. The Frenchman pounces and gets past Arvid Lindblad. Now that is Zachary David. He's managed to scamper away and lead these guys to duel. Lindblad runs wide, touches the grass. And there's nothing Lindblad can do. Valentin Klus is going to sweep in into turn 1 and he'll get the place. So now Lindblad's got to pick up the slipstream before Noah Stromstead comes through. And this is learning on the job, and now we've got a big move from Klus trying to go around the outside of Niall. Surely not. They both slide wide. He's out of the race effectively. But look at Stromstead round the outside of turn 1 for Niall. He's going to get there. This is really tricky stuff. Noah Lyle now behind Federico Rifai by the look of it, so Rifai's got through. Whoa! Niall goes Ugachukwu, still hanging on. Wharton second, Tarpon third, Vinicello fourth, David fifth, and now there's an absolute dogfight for sixth position. Those two are off the road. These two could be the ultimate fighters of the season. Look at the way Ugachukwu tank slapped it, slid the car out. Now Wharton's got to run on the inside. This is for the lead, and James Wharton takes the lead. He's already trying to build a little bit of a momentum, trying to build an advantage, but he made a mistake, and this is going to be the chance for Ugachukwu to come back at him. He does. Now look, Wharton just got a little bit too much on the curve. Ugachukwu ready for him. He looks left, he looks right, looks left again. Boom! Up the inside. Thank you. Good night, Vienna. Teofil Nile has been given a 10-second penalty for his tactics earlier on. Whoa! That's close, and they actually rubbed wheels. In 2 consecutive weekends, he takes victory. He won in Dubai, now he's won in Kuwait. Yugo Ugachukwu wins ahead of James Wharton. Out of 5 for the very quiet, very calm American Yugo Ugachukwu. This is about as much a very important victory then for Yugo Ugachukwu. A very exciting battle here in Kuwait, and it certainly takes us one step closer to an epic title showdown. There you are, ladies and gentlemen, your top 3. Tarpon, the rookie winner, Wharton in second, Ugachukwu in the victory position. It could be these two that duel for this championship fight for the rest of the season. And I can tell you that there is not going to be a new championship leader here this weekend now. After Ugachukwu's victory, he is a full 26 points clear of Arvid Lindblad in the title fight, with James Wharton now up to 52 and took a Tarpon up to 46. So it's obviously going to be a very exciting fight from here on out, but this weekend at least, Ugachukwu cannot be caught in the championship lead. So he will go to round 3 in a few days' time, still as the championship leader. But in race 3, James Wharton took a Tarpon, and Arvid Lindblad are going to have to do their homework to catch up with the American. 3 wins out of 5 so far. And can the American continue to extend his advantage? We'll have to find out later in race 3 of the F4 United Arab Emirates Championship, certified by FIA. Formula Regional is out on track next. I'm Jake Sanson. See you in a while.
Sweat, not in the jerseys, but in their gears. It's about the race this time. Show up to cheer for Amchi Mumbai. Yes, it's me, and no, it's not cricket. But it's the same energy. It's not between the runs, but the laps.